My name is Cameron Pendergraft, and I am an author of children's books. My job responsibilities are to write stories, create stories, and send them to my publishers, and they will turn them into books. I love to read, and I love to write, and I love to see my stories become books. Well, first, I create the story, and I write the story. I come up with an idea of a story. Then my story goes to the publishers, who decide if they would like to publish it. Then it goes to an editor that reviews and looks for any mistakes that might be in the story or any things that needs to be worked on. Then the story goes to an illustrator who draws the pictures for the books. And this all has to happen before the story is made into a book. I did go to college, and I majored in English because I love to read and I love to write. I love to see my stories become a book, and I love to read my stories to children and at schools. As a child, I love to read and I love to write, and I also love to play with animals, pretend like I was a veterinarian, and most of my children's stories are about animals. My favorite part is to see my stories become a book. It takes a long time for a story to become a book. It has to go through a lot of different hands. Right now I have 2 stories, one's being edited, one's being illustrated, and it seems like it's taking forever. So it's not a job that happens fast. Well, when I was a child, there were several different things I wanted to be. I actually at one time wanted to be a veterinarian. Then I wanted to be a teacher. Then I wanted to be a mommy. But I always wanted to write and have my books published. My career is different in that I'm not always working on my stories. And when I am working on a story and trying to get it just right, I'll work on it for about 2 or 3 weeks for several hours a day before I send it to my publisher.
My name is Allison Capps, and I'm an assistant district attorney. My job responsibilities are pretty wide. I prosecute criminals is what I'm supposed to do and seek justice. So if somebody gets in trouble and they're charged with a crime, I show the jury or the judge the evidence that shows that they have committed a particular crime. I do that from speeding tickets all the way up to people who hurt people pretty badly. And I wanted to be a district attorney after I did an internship when I was in college. And I worked in the courtroom and saw the difference that assistant DAs could make in the lives of victims who had been hurt by people. And I wanted to help people and decided that I should go to law school to do that. I have been an assistant district attorney for almost 17 years, which makes me really, really old. And I interact with other people in my job every day. I work with other people in my office, with legal assistants, with other assistant DAs. I work with other attorneys. I work with law enforcement. I work with people in the clerk's office and judges. And some of those people are on opposite sides of me. And so we have to learn how to communicate with one another effectively to try to resolve our case. I did go to college. I graduated from high school and I went to Peace College, which was a women's college at the time, for 4 years. And after I graduated from Peace College, I went to Campbell University to law school, and that was another 3 years. And I studied psychology in undergrad, so when I was in college, and I decided that I could still go to law school even with a psychology degree. And so that is what I did. And the things that I like best about my work is that sometimes I have the opportunity to help people. I also love to try cases. I love to look at what evidence we have, decide what witnesses we need to get that evidence in front of the jury. I love putting the pieces of the puzzle together and arguing that in front of the jury. I think my parents knew at a young age that I would be a pretty good attorney because I knew how to argue pretty well. If you are a kid at West Oxford Elementary School that wants to be a lawyer, I would tell you to study hard. Make sure that you listen to your teachers and that you work hard in your studies.
Hi everyone, my name is Bruce Ennis. Some of you might call me a computer programmer. but I prefer the term software developer, as my job often involves more than just writing programs that run on computers. I work for a company called Allscripts, and we develop and maintain computer software for the healthcare industry. This is the type of software that is used at your doctor's office or at a hospital you may have visited. The programs help doctors and their staff do things like gather your demographic information, which means data like your name, your address, your phone number, and insurance information. They also use it to schedule appointments. They also record clinical data about you, such as your blood pressure, your height, your weight, your heart rate, and if you're feeling ill, they record the symptoms you have and the doctor's diagnosis of what may be wrong with you and what the suggested course of treatment will be. Sometimes, for a patient to receive the necessary care, there are multiple computer systems that must talk to one another to convey certain information. For instance, if your doctor wants you to have a blood test or an x-ray, the doctor may generate an order from an electronic health record system to a lab or radiology system. The other system would receive the order, and when the patient arrives for the lab test or x-ray, the lab or radiology system would complete the test and send the results back to the doctor's electronic health record system so that the doctor can make additional informed decisions about your prescribed care. That's where I am involved. My team and I work on computer software that connects several of our software solutions to each other and to other systems with which they must communicate. I have worked at Allscripts for almost 28 years, and I really enjoy the work I do. My team consists of 8 developers and 5 quality engineers. They're the ones who test the code to make sure it performs as it's supposed to. A portion of our team lives and works in Bangalore, India. Their time is 9.5 hours ahead of ours, so we adjust our schedules so we have some overlapping working hours. It's during our mornings here in North Carolina that we can work together. On a day-to-day basis, my job involves a wide range of activities. I help design ways we can accomplish adding new functionality to our interfaces. I help do the coding of these solutions. I review other people's solution designs, code changes, and documentation. I help our support team troubleshoot and resolve problems as needed. Occasionally, I'm on a call with our clients, listening to the needs they have and helping design a solution to meet their needs. Because I've been on my job for a long time and I know our product pretty well, I also answer many questions that people have. When I was young, I dreamed of becoming an astronaut or the President of the United States. When I learned that my color blindness would prevent me from learning to fly, I had to abandon the first of these dreams. In high school, I enjoyed math and science, and I went to college with the aim of becoming a chemical engineer. While in college, I changed majors 3 times. I started in chemical engineering, then switched to computer science, and then to math education. I had not chosen to pursue computer science because, even though I enjoyed it, I thought it would be a job where I never interacted with people, and I did not want a job like that. I graduated intending to teach math at the high school level in Wake County, but I took a job instead teaching juvenile delinquents in North Carolina's maximum security training school in Butner, up in Granville County, which was essentially a prison for young people from about age 11 to 18. After almost 8 years of teaching there, I took an entry-level programming job where I learned additional programming skills on the job. About 4 years later, I started work for a healthcare software company that was later acquired or merged into my current company, Allscripts. I enjoy math, logic, solving puzzles or problem solving, and working with people. And all these skills are necessary as a good foundation for a job in software development. If you are interested in a successful job as a software developer, you can start preparing even now. Certainly, you can sharpen your math and logic skills, but also pay attention to your writing and communication skills, as they are useful in communicating functional and technical information about software. You can also start learning to program if you have not done so already. There are many resources available in your library and online to get you started. Also, while I think it's more productive to be in the office surrounded by my teammates, we have long had the ability to work remotely from home or elsewhere, so the current stay-at-home restrictions have simply changed the location where I work, but they don't really affect my day-to-day job. My days are rarely boring, and I enjoy my work so much that I often have to set a reminder for myself that it is time to quit work. Whatever career path you choose, remember, your attitude toward the skills and knowledge you are given the opportunity to acquire today will strongly influence the success or failure of your chosen career path in the future.
Hi, I'm Amanda Nunnenaker, and I work at Food Line as a retail pricing coordinator. I'm in charge of price accuracy throughout the whole store. All those price tags you see and yellow signs you see in Food Line, that's my job. I put them up and I'm responsible for it. I have worked at Food Line for 17 years. I'm on the floor probably 80% of my time at Food Line every day. So I see all the customers that come in. I try to help them out. I say hello to them. I work well with other people in the store. I have to work with other departments such as produce, the meat department, and deli in the front end. I have a set schedule, Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. I like knowing that I'm going to have a certain day off in the future. As long as I do my work, I can take a lunch break a little bit longer than normal and stuff like that. I'm basically my own boss. When I was a kid, one of my favorite shows on TV was Supermarket Sweep. And that was a TV show, it was a game show, and these people got asked questions about grocery items. And at the end of the show, they ran around and tried to put as many groceries as of their cart that they could in that time, and the basket that was cost the most won the game, and it was just so fun. So when my sister was working at Food Line, I was like, oh, I want to work there because it's a grocery store. I can play Supermarket Sweep. I do not play Supermarket Sweep at work, but it still influenced me to get a job at a grocery store. You have to be well organized. A lot of numbers are involved with a scan because you have to know pricing. I did not know what I wanted to be when I was little. That's probably why I was so eager to jump at a job and leave college. So my advice to y'all is, dream of what you want your dream job to be and stick with it. I have to be there at 7 a.m. and I check my email, and we have a little task we do on the computer, and then I hang tags. Wednesday is my biggest day of hanging tags. That's when the sale goes on. So I have anywhere from 800 to 2,500 tags to hang in that day. And I have a backup girl. She helps me, and we hang the tags, and then we have to go around, and all the displays you see, we make signs. And I do other things besides pricing. I work new items in. Anytime you see a new item in the store, I worked it in and I ordered that tag. I help out up front sometimes when they get backed up. This past month, since we've been so busy, I've been working in the meat department, the dairy. I'm the type of person where I don't just stick to my job. Anything that you see in that store, I've probably done once or twice.
So why did I want to become a speech-language pathologist? Very simple. I wanted to help people become effective communicators. I wanted to help rehabilitate individuals who suffered stroke or who had suffered traumatic brain injuries, or someone who just had trouble with right hemisphere damage. So I work with a population in Hapworth with the population starting at birth to the geriatric population, which is your older population of individuals. So how long have I been in SLP? I've been in SLP for 14 years. I received my undergraduate degree in mass communications, broadcast journalism at Winston-Salem State University. And 2 years later, I enrolled at North Carolina Central University to get a master's in communication disorders, which is the field of speech pathology. And that was in 2006. So I've been in SLP for 14 years. What do I enjoy most about the field? What I enjoy most about the field is that you have the opportunity to work with individuals from different age ranges with different disorders. So I have a background as a medical SLP, so I've worked with babies, newborns, all the way to patients who are in their 90s. And working at a hospital setting, I normally work with individuals who've had strokes, who've had traumatic brain injuries, and babies who were born without the ability to swallow, so I've had to teach them how to swallow again. And I've also worked with children who have problems with articulation and stuttering or language. So I've had the opportunity to work with individuals with various disorders. And in doing that, I was able to narrow down my expertise, which is speech and voice. So now I only work with individuals who suffer from or who present with speech disorders, and that could be articulation, stuttering, cluttering, and apraxia, or it can also be individuals who've had voice disorders, vocal nodules from cheering, being a cheerleader and cheering too much, preachers, singers, anyone who is at liberty of injuring their voice. And I also work with individuals who work in corporate America who wants to work on just creating more of a beautiful or a more beautiful range in their voice, and also in improving their communication. So that's what I enjoy most about what I do. The things that I actually did related as a child that relates to this is that I was just a talker, but I've always been a talker. So the field of speech pathology is definitely the field for me because I get to communicate a lot, which is what I like to do, but I get to do it and while I'm doing that, I'm also helping someone in return. And that is actually what I like most about being a speech language pathologist, is that I do have the opportunity to teach people how to swallow again, how to speak again, how to retrain their brain to think and process again, and or just to become overall effective communicators in their business and reach a higher level in their career. So all of those are things that I enjoy most. What I enjoy least is actually when working in a hospital, receiving or working with a patient that may have suffered a huge stroke, and when the brain has suffered so much damage, you may not be able to get them back to where they were, and sometimes it's a difficult conversation to have with someone. This may be all the words that you may be able to say for the rest of your life, and we may need to put together something to help you still communicate effectively, but it may not be quite like you were before. That's always a difficult conversation and not one that we have lightly, but I'm sure a lot of speech language pathologists will agree. So those are the things that I do like about being a speech language pathologist. And as I said, you have speech language pathologists who work in the school setting, who work with children, helping them with their articulation and helping them with their language. You have speech language pathologists like myself who work in the hospital, or I no longer work in the hospital, but I did for over 10 years, who work with stroke patients, traumatic brain injury patients, and also babies and children. And we work with swallowing and voice, articulation, language, and cognition, which are your thinking skills. And you have SLPs who work in a nursing home. You also have SLPs that work in corporate America. And you have SLPs that can work in a number of areas. So most times it's just a matter of just narrowing down what the areas that you are, or you show your best work effort, and then you can just kind of master that skill and create a niche for yourself in the field of speech. So I hope I was able to answer the questions as it relates to speech-language pathology and give you a better outcome or more information on how effective the field of speech is. And I hope many of you will consider going into the field of speech pathology. It's been great talking with you. Enjoy your day.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Garrett. I'm Miss Sharon's dad. I've been working with Wake Electric for 36 years. My current position is line superintendent. I'm responsible for all the Wake Electric linemen and the jobs that they do. I schedule all their work, and any complaints or any problems we have, I go out and handle those. Some of the jobs I go out and I check on the job before the crews get there. I got into this job, I didn't really plan on it. It's just something that just happened. I always liked working outside, and it just fell right in for me. It made good money. I had a real good career, and without any college, I probably couldn't have done any better. But some of the downfalls with the job is you do have to work in storms. You work in the middle of the night when everybody's asleep. Some of the parts you really like is some of these big storms everybody hears about that you only get to see on TV. Doing this type of work, you do get to go to those places and you do get to work in those areas, and you see a whole lot of stuff that you wouldn't see just sitting around the house. And you do make a lot of money when you do go to these places. But anyway, we're going to demonstrate today climbing poles, and I got my son-in-law Joe Shun with the town of Wake Forest, and he's going to show you how to climb poles. Take it away, Joe.
These are some of the safety things you need to climb a pole. You got your butt squeeze that helps you from not falling off the pole. You got your safety glasses, you got your work gloves, belt, hooks. And I'm going to show you how to demonstrate how to climb a pole. That's how it's done. Up and back down.
Greetings everyone, my name is Kamal Bell. I'm the CEO of Sankofa Farms. Sankofa is a word that comes out of West Africa that means to remember your rich African ancestry as you move forward in life. I'm also a beekeeper. This is why I have my suit on, so you all are actually going to go look at some bees as part of this video. And we also have a youth academy for African American boys to come out and learn about farming, entrepreneurship, STEM, and also honeybees. I am a graduate of the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, and I'm currently at North Carolina State University working on my doctorate in agricultural extension education. So, since all that is said, let's go look at some bees. Give me 1 second, y'all. Put on my bee suit for you. So I hope you all, I know this video is for you all's career day. So after you all get to look at some bees, I hope you are interested in being a beekeeper, just like me. Which is actually really fun, as long as you have your protective gear on and you're all safe. Here are the honeybees now. You can see some of them right now going out to collect nectar and pollen. See them shooting out. They're getting ready to go get some nectar so they can make honey. They're gonna go get pollen so they can feed the baby bees in the hive. And hopefully while you're looking at the bees, somebody flies in and you can see them with the pollen. It's no guarantee. But bees are very gentle and less bothered, so if I was to stick my hand in there, I would probably get stung. But since I'm not, I'm being really nice to them and I'm not in their way. I'm gonna be a little nice to me. You see that one? Just went in with pollen. Interesting thing about beehives, the girl bees do all the work and the guy bees don't do anything. So, I hope you all enjoy meeting our bees, and if you are excited, you are welcome to come to Sankofa Farms anytime. Have a great day and happy career day to you all.
my name is Kristen and I am a veterinary technician at Oxford Veterinary Hospital. I have been in the field for almost 11 years, starting off in the kennel and working my way up, and I have been a veterinary technician for almost 7 years. I have 4 cats and 2 dogs. One of my dogs is blind and he's the best cuddle bug ever, and one of my cats, I have raised her since she was 5 days old. Unfortunately, this little one's not mine. I'm just fostering him for a little while as I get him through his bottle fed stage, and then he will be right up for adoption. Honestly, I do like cats more than dogs, but I would have to say my favorite animal in the world is actually an otter. They are one of the cutest things. There is not an animal that I don't like. Honestly, I love all animals the same, but I just really don't like ticks. Ticks are actually one of my worst nightmares, and it makes my skin crawl every time I have to pick one off of an animal. So not only is flea and tick prevention very important for our fur friends, but your heartworm prevention is especially important as well. So if you like animals and watching them grow up to be cuddly little babies to our fantastic fur companions, then the veterinary field is definitely for you.
Hello, my name is Jean Skinner. I work at SHLAG Industries. We make non-woven fabric. I've been there almost 10 years. And prior to SHLAG, I worked for a German company that also made non-woven fabrics. I was there 23 years. So I have been in this industry for basically 34 years. And currently I'm a customer service rep, and I get the orders from the customer. I enter them in our system. I confirm them with the customer. I finalize their packing list, create their invoices, and track the shipment from our door to their door. And I send any legal documents that need to be sent, because a lot of my customers are in South America, Central America, Russia, Middle East, and Canada, and they require extra documentation versus just what we ship in the U.S. But I ship a lot in the U.S. also. Okay. A non-woven fabric is a fabric that's constructed other than weaving. And I know that's a broad statement, but there's a lot of ways to make a non-woven fabric. In fact, felt is a non-woven fabric, and everybody knows what felt is and what it looks like. That's a needle punch fabric. But most non-wovens are in things. They're not laying around, you don't touch them, they're not on your clothes. They're either in your clothes or in your carpet or in your wallpaper or in something. Baby diapers, disposable wipes is a good example of a non-woven fabric. A dryer sheet, everybody knows what a dryer sheet looks like. Well, that's a non-woven fabric. But like I said, you don't normally see them because they're in things. They're not really out in the open. Well, I have to deal with basically every department every day. Like our shipping manager, I was on the phone with him and meeting in person with him several times today because we had a customer that had to rearrange a few loads. So we have to get together and make sure that his schedule meets my schedule, which meets the customer's schedule. And also the production manager, I have to get with him every day to make sure my orders are going to be produced on time and to see if there's any glitches in our production schedule. I'll give you an example of somebody, like we had a customer years ago, their warehouse burnt down. So we had to jump through all these hoops to try to restock them as soon as we could. So that means a lot of times you have to shuffle your production schedule. You just have to shuffle everything. So there's a lot of shuffling all the time. So I run a report 3 times a week that shows what's being produced, when it's being produced, when it's shipping, so that we all know we're on the same page as far as ordering raw materials, getting the fabric out the door, and making the customers happy. But I went to college to be a school teacher, but I only taught school in a community college for 1 quarter at night. So I never taught for a living. I wanted to be an art teacher because I was very creative. And then when I got to college, I realized I couldn't draw. So you can't be an art teacher if you can't teach people how to draw. So I went into industrial arts, which is electronics, welding, graphic arts, metalworking, woodworking. And so I ended up in that area. And my concentration was metals and welding. And I was a welder for a living for 4 years at a nuclear power plant. Well, I'll tell you, I've been working many, many years, and I can tell you that when you can go to an office that's climate controlled, and by that I mean you're not sweating, you're not freezing, it's really nice. It's nice to have a clean work environment, and I love that about being in the non-wovens industry. Because having worked construction, you work outside, you work in the rain, you work in the sleet and snow, so it's just nice to have a nice work environment. When I was a kid, I wanted to catch turtles and snakes and talk to animals, and I can't do that and get paid for it. I have to do that on the weekends and at night. I think the main thing is to find out what industries need employees and find out what your skills are. Because I can tell you some of the worst career advice I've ever heard in my life is follow your bliss or do what makes you happy. Because that doesn't pay the bills. Because if I followed my bliss, I'd be a taste tester in a chocolate factory. Because that doesn't pay money, and you can't make a living doing that. You have to figure out where the job market's going, and you got to follow it and hone your skills accordingly.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to learn about your career day, and I'm excited you've asked me to participate. So let me tell you a little about my career. I'm a superintendent. I'm your superintendent, and it's the best job in the world. What are some of my job responsibilities? Well, I have the privilege of getting to meet students like you, and I have the amazing responsibility to get to work with your teachers and your principals and your parents right alongside you. Why did I want to be a superintendent? Well, I've been a teacher, I've been a cheerleading coach, I've been a reading specialist, that means a reading teacher, and what I decided was that I wanted my influence to be a little bit larger, and I wanted to work with school board members, and I wanted to work with people in the community on a larger scale so that I could make a difference in the lives of students. And that's what this job lets me do. So those are all of the whys. I'm sure there are many more, but those are a few. How long have I been at my current job? I'm going into my 3rd year. Well, I just finished my 3rd year. Gosh, time flies. I'm going into my 4th year, and all of my time has been here in Granville County. How do you interact with other people in my work? This whole job is about being able to be a team player. I work with colleagues at central office. I work with principals, elementary, middle, and high. I work with assistant principals. I work with teachers. I work with school board members. I work with parents. I work with students. I work with everyone. I work with law enforcement officers and nurses. I work with people, all different types of people, so that we can put things in place so that students have what they need every day, and I enjoy it, every bit of it. Did you go to college, and how did you decide what you wanted to study? Absolutely. I went to a small college in my hometown, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and I attended Elizabeth City State University for my undergraduate degree. I then went to East Carolina University, where I obtained my master's degree in Ed Administration and Supervision, and then I went to UNC Chapel Hill. That's where I earned my doctorate degree, and now I'm able to be a superintendent, and I really enjoy it. I decided what I wanted to study a long time ago. My grandmother said I was a little girl who would always pretend to be the teacher, and then I would decide to pretend to be the principal. And then there were times I pretended to be the boss of the principal. Well, isn't that something? Because that's sort of what I get to do now. Were there things you liked to do as a kid that are related to the things I do now? Absolutely. I always loved to do bulletin boards. I always loved to help my mom and my grandmother with their reading lessons. I've always loved to teach Sunday school, and all of those things are related to education in some way. What do I like most about my job? You. I like you, and you. I love the students. The students are the most incredible part of my job, and I enjoy doing anything I can to lead initiatives or policies or activities related to students. But my most favorite part of my job is graduation, when I get to shake students' hands before they go off into the world of work or to college or to the military, and I get to say to them, you've completed your work here in Granville County Public Schools. That, my friends, is the highlight of my life, and I look forward to being able to do that with you. What does a typical day look like in your career? It's busy. From sunup to sundown. I get to attend a lot of meetings where we talk about what's really good for students and educators. I have tons of email I have to respond to, lots of initiatives, lots of field trip conversations. How can we make the curriculum come to life for students? What do students need? The laptops. Lately, we've talked a lot about COVID-19 and how can we help students transition back into school well when they come. Lots of conversations about how we can do things better for the lives of students. I've enjoyed being with you today. I look forward to the day I can see you in person. I'm a superintendent that thrives off of being here for students and their families and their education. It's been a pleasure serving you as your superintendent, and I look forward to the career path you choose for your life. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Hey, West Oxford. My name is Damar Bonamere, and I'm the Director of Game Operations at NC State. And I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you what I do in the athletic department. So, as the Director of Game Operations, I'm responsible for the things that go into putting on our home events, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, swimming and diving, etc. That includes scheduling event staff, which are the ushers that you see. A lot of those people that wear like the yellow jackets, ticket takers, handling parking. I work with the concession staff, and as well as internally, a marketing department and some of our other revenue generating or money making areas. I really didn't seek out being a director of game operations. I was actually working in another area of the department when we had a change in administration and they shuffled some people around, and then I got moved into game operations. So when I started this job, I really had no idea what it was, what it entailed. But as time has gone on, it's been busy, but it's been a lot of fun. I did go to college. I first started out at a school in Washington, D.C. called Catholic University of America. And from there, I transferred to a state school in New York called SUNY Brockport. That's S-U-N-Y, in case you're wondering. And then once I graduated from there, I came down to NC State to get my master's degree and have been here ever since. I decided what I wanted to study just by, being active on campus, and some experience that I had in high school. I started out as a accounting major, and I was also doing some stuff in broadcasting because I just really was interested in kind of how like TV shows are made and things like that. And then ended up changing it to a business administration degree, kept my communications degree, but then ended up having a minor in business administration. What I like about my work with people I work with, obviously, I work with a ton of people inside the department and outside the department. They're all great people. Just the things that I get to be a part of have been very exciting. Not only do I assist with a lot of our home events, but there are other events that we will host that I'm a part of. So how many of you guys, follow the NCAA tournament? So every so often we will be selected as a host site. So we'll have 4 to 8 teams here from throughout the country, that we host here to play their games. So I'll be a part of that. I've also been a part of or involved with the planning of a couple concerts that we've had at Carter Finley Stadium. The Rolling Stones was one, and then Beyonce was another. If one of you want to be a director of game operations, my advice to you is to just learn as much about your sport that you're involved with as you can, and then just talk to people. If you see an usher, talk to them. If you see a parking staff, talk to them. And then if for some reason your playing career gets cut short, whether it's through injury or you just don't like playing it anymore but still like sports, volunteer. You can be a manager for a team, or help with the facility staff, where they'll set up for the event. And I would say do that in high school and then as well as in college. Part-time jobs during the summer, you can be or volunteer at local clubs or things like that. Be a referee, just anything you can do that's sports related, I think will help you have a better understanding for what goes into everything behind the scenes at a game, not just what happens on the court or the playing field. Some of the things that I like least about my job are the hours. There can be some really, really long days. There was one year we were hosting NCAA tournament baseball games, and we were getting rain, so we kept delaying and then having to restart, and we needed to play these games. So probably 2-3 days in a row we were finishing at 2 in the morning and then coming right back at about 7 or 8 o'clock so we could finish the game from the day before we started the new games that day. So yeah, there can be some really long days and a lot of hours that put in, but once it's all said and done, you just have that sense of accomplishment and just feel good. Really don't have a typical day. Every day is so unique, especially depending on the time of year. In the spring when we have baseball season going on, if it's a beautiful day out, everything goes fine. But if we're getting some rain, then there's more planning and preparation we need to do. Talking with the coaches and kind of giving them an update. Okay, this is what the weather's looking like. Are we going to try to move the game up, move it back, postpone it, move it to another day? You kind of begin those discussions. And then, like I said, with each year being a new season, different opponents, things like that, just things are just not the same every day. So every day is different. Thank you for taking the time to learn a little bit about what I do at NC State. Hope to see you at a game soon. Go Pack!